Hola, mis estudiantes. So this video is about subject pronouns and the verb ser, to be. So right now, I'm guessing you probably don't know exactly what this video is going to be about, since there's a lot of grammar terms in here. But I also want to give you a warning that some of the things in this video are the basis of everything we're going to be doing all year. So I really want you to make sure you get this video down well, understand it. We'll be spending multiple days on this during class, or more like an entire week, to be honest. So this is really foundational stuff that I want you to understand. I'd say last year of the students I had who struggled the most in Spanish 1 were the students who did not understand what subject pronouns were and struggled with that all year. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on. So, subject pronouns in English. So think subject is the part of a sentence that is at the start. So if I have a sentence, I am big, I is going to be my subject in the sentence, because that comes at the start. I is the person doing the action of being big. So in English, subject pronouns will be things like I, you, he, she, we. We have you guys, or some people say you all, and then they. So Sam, those are subject pronouns in English. And here's a better organized diagram of these subject pronouns in English. You don't have to write these down since you all speak English and should know this. But if, let's say, we lived in a different country and you were taking your English 1 class, for high school credit, you'd probably be learning something like this right about now. So we're going to learn this chart in Spanish in just a second, and that's what I do want you to write down in your notes, for sure, definitely. But this chart is going to be organized the exact same way in Spanish. So this left-hand column that I have right here, that I'm moving my cursor around, is going to be the singular column. So we have words like I is singular. I is only one person. There's only one me. You, in this case, is going to be singular. It can just be like you, one person. He and she are both singular, so that's why they're in this column also. So then the right column is going to be the plural column. We have we, which means two people, like you and I. You, plural, like you all, you guys, is over here. And then they is over here. So that's how the columns are organized: singular column, plural column. Then we're going to have rows. So I have the numbers 1, 2, and 3 here. So these are going to symbolize first person, second person, and third person. So think of your literature classes when you had to just read stories and decide what narrator point of view it's in, like first person, third person, omniscient, or third person, all-knowing. So here, first person, that's when a story is told in the I form. Like, I did this today, I did that today. So that's why I is in this row. And since we is really like me and somebody else, that's why we is also considered first person. I'm going to jump down here to third person now. Think back to your literature classes when you learned about third person narrator. That's when the story was told without using the word I at all. In high school, your English teachers will probably tell you to write in third person, meaning that you don't use I, because that's considered more formal. So no I would mean things like he, she, and they. In Spanish, they also put the formal yous, polite or formal you, down here for whatever reason. So that'll come up more on the other slide. And then second person basically means you. In Spanish, it's only going to be you informal. So now that you understand what pronouns are, subject pronouns are in English, let's move on to what they are in Spanish. So everything in Spanish is in yellow. So in Spanish, I means yo. You, informal, means tú. He means él. She means ella. You means usted. That UD is just an abbreviation for usted. I will write out the full word in just a second. we means nosotros, you plural means vosotros. They can mean either ellos or ellas, depending if it's masculine or feminine. So if the entire group is boys, you would use ellos. If the entire group is girls, you would use ellas. Or if there's a mixture, you're going to use ellos, because in Spanish, masculine always rules. Since men were historically stronger than women back in the Middle Ages when the Spanish language was created. And then finally, you plural in Spanish is ustedes, and once again, that's an abbreviation that I'll write out here in just a second. So go ahead and take time, copy this chart down well. If you want to add on the singular and plural things from a previous slide, the first, second, and third person from a previous slide, it's like the first person row, second person row, third person row, singular column, plural column to this chart, that would be perfectly fine and acceptable. So while you're copying this down, I'm going to write out how to spell usted and ustedes in the full form. So hopefully you've paused the video, got him all that copied down. If you haven't noticed already in the classroom, I have a poster, or not a poster, but it's more like cards hanging up on the wall. They're black with all these subject pronouns on them. We'll be referencing them a lot throughout the year during class to as more of a visual aid. However, they will be covered up during tests and quizzes, but they hopefully should help you learn them in the meantime. So one question you might be having right about now is there's so many different words for you in Spanish. So we have you as in tú, we have you as in usted, we have you plural, which is vosotros, and then we have you plural polite, which is ustedes. So I've broken down here what the difference is between all these different ways to say you, since in English we only have one way. So if you remember the second person column or second person row of a tú and vosotros here is always informal. So here in this chart, you can notice tú is informal, vosotros is informal. We also had our singular and plural differences in our chart. See, singular, plural, plural column, vosotros, ustedes, singular column, tú, usted, and then here on this written out notes, you can see usted formal, ustedes formal, vosotros informal, tú informal. So I'd recommend writing this down because this is more explicit, and that way if you have questions later, you can access your notes for more clarity. So go ahead and pause the video and write these down. So now I want to mention that the vosotros form that we've been talking about, there's different dialects of Spanish, and many dialects do not use the vosotros form. So Spain is the country in Europe that speaks Spanish, and they use the vosotros form there. However, in Latin America, they do not use it ever. It's kind of like how British English and American English are different, and it's the same thing in Spanish with Spain Spanish and Latin American Spanish, where they have vosotros in Spain, but they never use it in Latin America. So instead, in Latin America, they use ustedes for every single you plural.